Nothing to do with Mel Gibson. The decisions that she had made as pardon attorney in the weeks and months leading up to the end of President Biden's term were completely inconsistent with President Trump's authority. We drafted a letter. We tried to serve that letter on her via email. We tried to contact her. She would not answer her phone.
Another heated exchange unfolded as Senator Welch questioned Todd Blanche on controversial Justice Department decisions, from restoring gun rights to a convicted domestic abuser to press freedom and classified leaks. The hearing became a debate over ethics, accountability, and where executive authority should meet constitutional safeguards.
You know who Liz Oyer is,
Yes.
and you know who Mel Gibson is.
Yes.
All right, Mel Gibson was convicted of domestic violence. What he did was he punched his then girlfriend in the teeth, threatened her with a gun, while she had their infant in her arms. Now, it's the president's decision. He can restore Mr. Gibson's gun rights. That's not your decision. But my understanding is you had a pardon attorney who, when requests were made to restore gun rights to domestic abusers, they'd be vetted. Mental health issues, other issues, and that's because 500% increase in homicide rates of domestic abusers who have guns. You asked, or one of your people asked, Liz Oyer, to provide a letter that basically said, okay, we can restore his gun rights. Is that correct?
That happened the day I was starting. I know Ms.
It
Oyer has claimed that
was 2 days after.
I know that Ms. Oyer has claimed that that had anything to do with her firing. I didn't even know of that. I had known nothing about Mel Gibson or that letter when I fired her. Nothing.
So why did you fire her?
For a number of reasons. For one,
You were there 2 days?
Yes, for a number of reasons. It had nothing to do with Mel Gibson. The decisions that she had made as pardon attorney in the weeks and months leading up to the end of President Biden's term were completely inconsistent with President Trump's authority, including recommending commuting every single individual on death row, which even President Biden didn't do.
Right. I'll let the Americans be the jury of whether that sounds right. But 2 days after you were there, she got fired. She was told to do a letter that was basically going to validate the decision the president had made to restore gun rights to a man who smashed his girlfriend's mouth, threatened her with a gun, and did it with her holding their infant.
And had nothing to do with why she was fired, by the way. Nothing.
Now, what also is documented is that she was going to testify here in Congress before a roundtable. And people were dispatched, federal marshals, to go to her home at night. It turns out she was not there. Her 11-year-old son was there alone. And fortunately, at the very last minute, that access to her house, or the trip to her house, was canceled.
That's not true. I mean, if you want me to answer with the truth, I can.
What part of it is not true?
When we learned that she was going to testify about privileged communications, like we do anytime a former employee is going to violate their ethical duties, we drafted a letter. We tried to serve that letter on her via email. We tried to contact her. She would not answer her phone. Okay. So the way the Department of Justice serves people in every case is with Deputy United States Marshals. We endeavored to do that, and then she accepted service.
Oh, thank you. I'll go on. Kashpatel, I do want to go back to my colleague, Senator Weiss, has some concern. I have concerns about him because of the reports about his drinking, about the incredibly bad morale there. But I'm not going to ask you on that. You are a supervisor, so obviously you have some responsibility to be reviewing this behavior.
I don't think he has any issues drinking. He has no issues with morale.
All right, but here's what is very clear. He was at the White House for 8 hours, and this is after a report came out in the New York Times that talked about the $400 million Qatari plane that was Air Force One not having certain deceptive defensive capabilities, and issued subpoenas to reporters demanding that they turn over their news sources. I happen to believe it's extremely important to protect the right of the press. to have confidential sources in order to get out information that is absolutely in the public interest. Do you support Mr. Patel's efforts to subpoena and get reporters under the grill to disclose who their confidential sources are?
The Department of Justice requires that I authorize it, which I did. And those reporters, we're not targeting reporters. They're material witnesses, just like a reporter would be a material witness to a car crash.
Yeah,
they are witnesses. And so,
and the question you want to ask them is who were their sources?
No,
that goes to the heart of the
no.
First Amendment.
no, the question we want to ask them is who provided them with classified national security information, which everybody in this body should want to protect. I would hope.
This portion of the hearing covers several controversial issues, but they all revolved around the one central question: how should the Department of Justice balance presidential authority with public accountability? Senator Welch began by acknowledging that the Constitution gives the president broad pardon powers, including the ability to restore gun rights. His concern was not whether the president had that authority, but how the Justice Department handled decisions leading up to it. Senator Welch focused on the case of actor Mel Gibson, who has a past domestic violence conviction. He cited allegations that Gibson assaulted his former partner and questioned why the department appeared to move toward restoring his firearm rights. Senator Welch also referenced former U.S. Pardon Attorney Liz Oyer, suggesting she was pressured to support that decision and was dismissed shortly afterward. Todd Blanche firmly rejected that narrative. He stated he knew nothing about the Mel Gibson matter when Oyer was dismissed and insisted her removal had nothing to do with that case. Instead, Blanche argued that her recommendations during the final months of the Biden administration, including recommendations involving death row inmates, were inconsistent with the direction of the incoming administration. According to Blanche, personal decisions were based on broader management concerns, not one individual pardon request. The discussion then shifted to another allegation involving Liz Oyer. Senator Welch claimed federal marshals were sent to her home before she was scheduled to testify before Congress, raising concerns about intimidation. Blanche disputed that characterization. He explained that the department believed Oyer might disclose privileged communications and attempted to formally serve her with a legal notice after other methods of contact failed. According to Blanche, using deputy U.S. Marshals to deliver official legal documents is standard practice, not an attempt to pressure a witness. Senator Welch then broadened his questioning to FBI Director kashpatel and concerns surrounding investigations involving journalists. He referenced reports that subpoenas had been issued to reporters and argued that protecting confidential sources is essential to a free press under the First Amendment. Blanche defended the department's position. He emphasized that the subpoenas were not aimed at punishing journalists or restricting reporting, but in investigating leaks of classified national security information. He noted that under department policy, such subpoenas require approval from senior leadership and confirmed that he personally authorized them. The disagreement reflected two competing constitutional priorities. Senator Welch argued that government actions must avoid creating a chilling effect on whistleblowers and investigate journalism. In his view, compelling reporters to identify confidential sources risk weakening press freedom and public oversight. Blanche countered that national security leaks present a different legal issue. He argued that when classified information is unlawfully disclosed, investigators have a legitimate responsibility to determine who leaked it. From that perspective, reporters may become material witnesses in a criminal investigation rather than targets of prosecution. Throughout the exchange, both men defended principles rooted in the Constitution, but emphasized different priorities. Senator Welch focused on ethics, transparency, and civil liberties, while Blanche stressed executive authority, legal procedures, and protecting classified information.